Story time about my toxic ex-boyfriend that I met in therapy. Little background information. I was a part of this therapy group where you would go every week and talk about your feelings. Well, I saw this really cute kid, so I wrote down my Snapchat and gave it to him. He added me back, and then we started dating like a week later. And for the first 2 or 3 months, everything was going smooth. And then he became really toxic and controlling. Like, he would always go through my phone, and any guy that I had a streak with, he would accuse me of cheating on him with them. And it got to the point where he was literally so clingy. Like, every second of every day he wanted to FaceTime, he had to be talking to me. I had to have my location on. And I would explain to him that I needed my space, but he literally just did not get the hint. So by this point, we were literally on and off all the time. And anytime that I broke up with him, I would block him because I didn't want to think about him. But he started calling my parents and complaining about me. So they blocked him. And then he tried being friends with my brother to get to me.
Story time on how my boyfriend tried to do the nasty with my dog. Okay, so boom, we about to jump right in. So I had a really good boyfriend, and every day after school, he came over to my place. Both my parents worked till late, so we had a lot of time to just have fun. So my dog was a big white Samoyed, and he was obsessed with her. This was kind of a red flag, but I ignored it because, it's a dog. We dated for 2 months and things just kept getting weird. Second red flag, he paid less and less attention to me when he was over and more to my dog. So one day while he ignored me and played with my dog again, I got a phone call from my teacher. My teacher told me that I had to go to school right this second. I was really confused, but I obviously still went. Even though it was a Saturday, it ended up being a prank, but whatever, just push that to the side for now. I trusted my boyfriend with my dog and to stay home alone, and I went to the school. And this was a big mistake, because my boyfriend did the unthinkable. Like for part two on how my boyfriend tried to do the nasty with my dog. Okay, so boom, like I said, I left my boyfriend home alone with my dog and I went to go to the school. The school was actually really close to me, so it really wasn't going to take me that long anyways. When I arrived to the school, there was no one there. All the teachers were gone and the school was locked. It ended up being a stupid prank by my friend, getting me back for when I pranked her. But whatever, I went back home. And I'm sure my boyfriend didn't expect me to come back so quickly. So I went back and I didn't see my boyfriend or my dog in the garden. And the house was empty. At first I thought he kidnapped her, but then I started hearing noises coming from my dog from the basement. I opened the basement door and there it was. My boyfriend pants down trying to do with my dog. My dog ran to me and I locked my boyfriend in the basement. My parents immediately came home and my ex got grounded for life. I don't know what else happened to that weirdo, but now I'm dating his ex-best friend and we're happy and normal.
Story time about how I'm in love with my sister's boyfriend and I think he likes me too. Actually, no, I know so because he kissed me 3 days ago. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. The story I'm about to tell you guys is pretty bad, so please don't come at me in the comments. I swear I'm a good girl. A little backstory, my sister and I have never really gotten along. She's 3 years older than me and thinks she's the queen of the house. And she's always seen me as competition, which I hate. My mom would always try to make us get along, but it was totally impossible. My sister was always upset at something I did. Eventually, I stopped trying with my sister and I wouldn't make any effort to make her like me. Finally, last year she moved out and I was so happy. We celebrated my 20th birthday at home last year, and of course my sister came over. But she brought this really cute boy with her. Let me tell you guys, it was instant love at first sight. I can't even explain what I felt, I just knew that I liked him. Even my mom made a comment about how good looking he was. And can I just say that I caught him staring at me a few times throughout the dinner. After that, I never really saw him because my sister and I never hung out. Until my sister lost her job because of COVID and had to move back in with us. And this meant that I was seeing her boyfriend a lot more around our house. He was so nice to me. Anytime they wanted to watch a movie, he would always invite me. If they were going to go out to eat or go to the beach, he would always invite me. Eventually, I started saying yes, well, because I liked him. And something told me that he liked me too. And yes, I know it's totally wrong, but I just couldn't help myself. Whenever I knew he was going to come over, I would dress up and look really cute. I also had a pool in the backyard, so I would make sure I was in a bikini whenever he came over. I know this sounds bad, but it's gonna get worse. Well, guess what? Around this time, my sister actually got COVID. Thankfully, she didn't get really sick, but she was a little bit under the weather. And of course, she had to quarantine. So she basically stayed in her room and we all were on the other side of the house. Of course, her boyfriend, let's call him Mark. Mark would come over and bring her food sometimes. On one of these occasions, he asked me if I wanted to go to the beach with him and his friends the following day. He knew that I was totally bored because of quarantine, so I said yes. And guess what? He didn't tell my sister that he asked me and I didn't tell her that I said yes. So it was our little secret. The following day, I wore my sexiest bikini and we had a great time at the beach with his friends. While we were at the beach with his friends, I could tell that he kept staring at me. And he caught me staring at him too a couple of times. When we drove back to our house, he made a comment about how good I looked in the bikini. That's when I told him that he looked really good too. From then on, we started flirting all the time, making little comments, staring at each other, and he also started following me on Instagram. So I got to work posting sexy stories all the time, and it totally worked because he would reply to them. That's when I sent him a naughty picture. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how I'm in love with my sister's boyfriend and he likes me too because he kissed me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. So after flirting back and forth through DM, I finally sent him a cute naughty picture. I mean, not so naughty, but a little naughty. And that's when he sent me one back. Then he sent me a text message saying that he wished he had met me before he met my sister. And I told him I felt the exact same way. The following day, he came to visit my sister like he usually did. My sister had COVID at the time, so he would come every single day. At this point, my sister's quarantine was almost over. So I knew I either had to act fast or talk to him and tell him that we couldn't take things further. My parents had decided to go to our lake house, so I knew I had the house all to myself. And my sister couldn't come out of her room, so he and I were basically alone in the house. That's when he asked me if we could talk. We went to the backyard so that my sister wouldn't hear us, and he confessed that he really liked me, but he didn't know how to feel about it. He also told me he felt really guilty, and I totally understood him. He asked me what I thought we should do, and I just didn't have an answer. We just stared at each other for a second, and then he kissed me. And it was the most magical kiss of my entire life. We then proceeded to make out for about 10 minutes. After that, he told me we needed to make a decision. I told him the best thing for us to do was to just be honest with my sister. We went straight to my sister's room and told her everything. Of course, my sister being the drama queen that she is, she started throwing things around in her room, and she called my parents and told them everything. Mark got on the phone with my parents and told them that he was responsible for everything, but that he couldn't lie to my sister and that he had to be honest. And yeah, I felt even harder when he said that. That's when my sister had the bright idea to lie and say that she was pregnant and that he had to get married with her. Mark hesitated but said if that was true, then yes, they would get married. I told my sister I didn't believe her and that she needed to provide a pregnancy test. Mark went and got the pregnancy test, and of course, it came back negative. Mark went home and I got on the phone with my parents, and I told him that I would step aside for my sister's happiness. My parents told me that they thought it was the best thing. So I called Mark and told him that he needed to stay with my sister. Now my sister is trash talking me to all her friends, which I expected and I guess I deserve. But should I sacrifice my happiness and his? My sister won't let Mark and I talk at all. When he comes over, I completely ignore him. What should I do, you guys? Help.
Put a finger down if in high school you had a YouTube channel and your whole school knew about it so you weren't embarrassed, and one day when you were sitting in your first period class, a girl came up to you and asked you why you were promoting your YouTube channel in the girls' washroom, and you had no idea what she was talking about, so obviously you ran to the washroom to investigate, and you found that written on the back of every single bathroom stall door was your YouTube channel and comments about how you were so amazing and beautiful and how everyone should subscribe to you. And this was really embarrassing because everyone was accusing you of writing these things, but you weren't. So you wrote a message back and asking this person to stop writing these things, and then the next day you found that they had leaked your personal information and written down your address on the bus that you take to school. So now you're really creeped out and you were scared that someone was stalking you. So you and your friends were determined to figure out who this person was. And the next day when you went to school, you all hid in a different washroom of the school trying to catch this person red-handed. And while you were hiding in the washroom, you noticed that a girl came out without flushing and she was holding a red marker. So you knew that you had caught her red-handed. So you followed her out of the washroom and you and all your friends went up to her and asked her if she was the one that had been writing on the bathroom stall. Like for part 2, it gets so good. And then after you and your friends confront this girl and ask her why she's been writing about you in the bathroom stalls, she still denies it, even though you literally just caught her red-handed. So you ask her what her name is in order to report her to the principal, but she gives you a really obviously fake name like Sarah Smith. Luckily, one of your friends ends up recognizing her and pulling up her Facebook profile. So you show her her Facebook profile and ask her why she lied about her name if she wasn't guilty for writing in the bathroom stalls. And then she denies that that Facebook profile belongs to her and says it's a catfish account. So then you tell her you're not going to report her to the principal, but she needs to stop this behavior. So she stops writing in the bathroom stalls, but she doesn't stop stalking you. And one night when you're having a sleepover with your cousin gets a phone call from a random blocked number, and she picks up and it's some girl on the other line saying how she's a huge fan of you and your YouTube videos, and she wants to know why you haven't posted on your YouTube channel in a month. So you and your cousin find this really creepy and you hang up the phone until you receive a text message from an unknown number sending you to a Twitter account like for part 3. So then you and your cousin click on this Twitter link and it takes you to a Twitter profile dedicated to you, a total fan page titled Mo for President with like 100 reasons why you would make a good president. And you see that some of these tweets are dated back to a year and you get totally freaked out and block this number. And then when you get back to school on Monday, you don't see her and you honestly don't see her for like months. So you end up almost forgetting about this entire incident and forgetting about her until one day she starts riding the school bus with you again. And every day she'll sit one seat closer to you until she's literally sitting right behind you to the point where she can like smell your hair and hear everything that you're saying. But you have no right telling her not to sit beside you on the school bus, so you don't know what to do. And then you start to realize that she actually is eavesdropping on everything that you're saying. So you get so fed up that one day you follow her home from school and you approach her and tell her that if she doesn't stop stalking you, you're going to ring on her doorbell and tell her parents what she's doing. And then she finally leaves you alone. No one else? Just me?